Day 128 of Israel's war against Hamas, which began on October 7th. Shalom, friends. This is Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe and continue the conversation or ask questions down below in the comments. So as I was saying, this is day 128 of Israel's second longest war ever against the terrorist group Hamas. Thousands of terrorists from the Hamas organization, terrorist group, poured into Israel on October 7th, attacking communities, killing innocent civilians and soldiers, kidnapping hundreds. This is a war that has been directed at one singular goal of toppling Hamas forever in the Gaza Strip, so that Israel never has to worry about a threat from the Gaza Strip, from the Hamas terrorist organization ever again. And I think we can say, thank God, Israel is doing a very, very good job over the past more than 4 months now of fighting against Hamas terrorist strongholds and infrastructure throughout the Gaza Strip. As we mentioned in previous weeks, the last stronghold of Hamas is in the south, right along the Egyptian border, Rafa, and that is where Israel is focusing its military action right now. This past week has seen already airstrikes there, killing some Hamas top officials there. And the world has its eyes on Rafa because there are over 1 million Palestinians living in that area, many of them having come to that area as a result of being evacuated by the IDF troops from other areas in central and northern Gaza. Israel knows that it must take out the Hamas battalions that are in Rafah in order to succeed in this war, in order to finally and fully topple Hamas. It is complicated because there are so many civilians there, and Israel is drawing up plans as we speak how to evacuate those civilians safely, allowing the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, to do what it needs to do to fight and to rid the area of Hamas terrorists. All throughout the Gaza Strip, IDF soldiers continue to find new tunnels to go into the tunnels. This is a whole new kind of fighting for IDF soldiers. They've been trained since October 7th in this kind of warfare, and many tunnels have been found and cleared out, checked, and destroyed, exploded. There are many more tunnels to be found and to be gotten rid of. We know that hostages are being kept in tunnels. So it's a very, very precarious kind of situation. But again, these fearless soldiers are putting themselves literally on the line and really defending their country and fighting these terrorists in an incredible and valiant kind of way. Just, in the past day, Israel found in Gaza City, underneath the UN organization's building, who is responsible for the Palestinian refugees, including those in Gaza, UNRWA. They found underneath their building a tunnel many meters below that housed a very high-tech and sophisticated data center, which was one of the headquarters of Hamas in the Gaza Strip. They recently found that, and just gives more evidence of links between UNRWA and the Hamas terrorist organization. We mentioned that the officials were part of this UN organization that's supposed to, keep the peace and take care of refugees. They actually participated themselves directly in the October 7th massacre in Israel. In other news, the border between Israel and Lebanon is still very, very active and volatile. And looks like more and more likely that might turn into a full-on war, though we don't know yet. But just yesterday, a building in Kiryat Shmona, which is a city that lies literally right on the border with Lebanon, just a couple of miles away, a building was hit by a rocket. Thank God nobody was hurt. The building was obviously damaged. This comes after a few days of dozens of rockets being launched from Hezbollah in Lebanon at Israel. And of course, Israel retaliates every single time. And definitely, our eyes are on the Lebanese border. There are thousands, tens of thousands of Israeli troops there ready if the next step is taken. And many reservists who recently got out of Gaza and have returned home, they know that they're not sure how long they will be home for, that it is not unlikely that they will be called back up either to go back to Gaza or go up north and have to fight against Hezbollah. This is the situation here in Israel. This is what we've been dealing with for years. Of course, this is a whole new chapter and a whole new kind of fight. So these are some of the updates here in Israel. The border up in the north, we have continued fighting in the south. There are some communities where people are starting to slowly return to in the south who were evacuated immediately after October 7th. So that is one ray of light that is shining on the situation, though there are still tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of Israelis who are still not home. From the northern communities, from the southern communities, who they're not able to go back home yet because where they live, where the communities are, they're still not safe. And we pray for them to return home safely. Of course, we pray for the safety of the soldiers. And of course, we pray for the return of all the hostages. Weekly, there are gatherings in Tel Aviv where all kinds of people get on stage and speak, including family members of hostages still in Gaza, as well as hostages who were released in that first deal. It's very emotional. It's a very, very intense time here in Israel. Everyone wants the hostages home, and as I said before, just a matter of opinion of whether you think, whether you believe, whether you support a ceasefire, even a temporary ceasefire, in order to make that happen, and or making a deal with Hamas in order to make that happen. I'll end with this last update. Just this past week, Hamas proposed a deal which was over the top, and Israel rejected. It was basically a 145-day deal, 3 phases, 35 days each, in which hostages would be released, but also Israel would pull out of certain areas, cities, and refugee camps in the Gaza Strip, eventually ending, according to their plan, ending with a complete ceasefire and a complete end to the war, as well as the release of 1,500 Palestinian terrorists from Israeli jails, including 500 of them who are serving life sentences for terrorist attacks that they carried out. That was rejected by Israel. Of course, that's too extreme. That would absolutely sacrifice and endanger the safety and security of Israel in the future. And so the government rejected that deal, and we continue forward. And many people believe that the best way, and possibly the only way, to really secure the hostages' release is through a continued and strong military operation in the Gaza Strip. Of course, again, we all pray for their release, and we're praying for them every single day and hoping for that to happen so soon. So that's the update from Israel for this day. Thank you for all of your prayers and all of your support from all over the world for Israel, for Israeli citizens, civilians, soldiers, and hostages. God bless you all.